Welcome again, and I think that it would be great to start with some, let's say, key factors why it's worth to expand to Switzerland and especially to your canton, and what type of benefits you can offer for the startups, especially the ones from Poland, willing to expand their business to your region.
Is it? Yeah, it's working.
Please also take your seats because there is a few spots still available. So,
among the key factors is maybe the first I should mention is Switzerland has been consistently ranked #1 in innovation for years. So this is really an intensity of IP, but also research that's behind that. So it's a region that's interesting to be in because you are connected with labs, researchers, and companies that innovate all the time. Second key aspect is really the access to talent. Also, we've been regularly ranked as a great place to access talents, not only because you have the local talents, but actually it's more often foreign talents that come and set up and stay. Often the challenge with scale-up companies is to find the people, of course, but then it's to keep them as the company grows and the culture evolves. And we are really a region that's pretty good for that. Then there is of course, the academic density. But what does it mean? It means a lot of research projects that are pretty open for transfer into the industry. So all the research institutions, and EPFL first, have made it easy to get IP out of the university. They don't take shares in companies. If there is really IP, they can negotiate some royalties, but that come only when there is really revenue. So it's pretty nice at the beginning. And most important, there is a federal program called InnoSwiss that supports financially the collaborations between labs and companies. And this can go in the hundreds of thousands, even millions after a couple of years, where the Confederation will pay the academic half of the project, and the company pays its half, but it can pay its half with internal hours. So in the budget, they would simply put the hours of the technicians, of the researchers, and that way they benefit from the intellectual property generated, while the university can publish and do what they prefer to do.
Wonderful. You covered a lot. Yuliya, would you like to add something? I wonder because, when we think about international expansion, especially when you were a Polish startup, you mainly think about Germany, maybe UK, and some other, maybe Estonia if you want to avoid, high taxes. Do you have any other, let's say, incentives or other arguments, maybe as a tax reductions or something that can add or justify this expansion to Switzerland?
That's a good example. You mentioned Estonia, people going there because of the low taxes. However, one of the countries that offers very low tax and have some tax advantages, tax incentive programs is Switzerland. Corporate tax rate, as it was mentioned already, is 14%. It's actually 13.79. Just 1.4. So as well, the social charges are very low. So there are plenty of examples that will give you plenty of arguments that you should consider probably also Switzerland for setting up companies. People know that Switzerland's usually considered to be pretty expensive, but then when you take into consideration taxes, also social charges that are very low,
that was actually very surprising for me.
Yeah,
it's not only general taxes, but also social charges.
It's around 20%. So that's things that should be taken into consideration while choosing the best location. Then Switzerland can bring you as well this Swiss-made symbol. Today, it's one of the best label to have, like Swiss-made. So, and of course, Innovaud itself as an agency, we are here to help companies, and a lot of companies are choosing to come to Switzerland because we are here to to smooth your arrival to Switzerland in terms of all these barriers, bureaucratic barriers to come to countries.
Do you want to elaborate on what's the typical process of let's say setting up a company and how you are helping also with it?
So to set a company in Switzerland, it's a pretty straightforward process. It takes 14 days. 14 years, that's
really
14,
straightforward.
Yes, exactly. So 14 days, and there are a few things that you have to set in advance before preparing. You have to prepare a business plan and think what is the best legal form. You have to choose the best legal form that will correspond to your activities. This is here, we are here for you to help
Any
to choose
tips?
one.
What would be the best legal form?
So there are two that are the most appropriate for startups. It's limited liability company and a corporation. So you need to choose between two of them, depending on your business activities that you want to develop in Switzerland. So the biggest difference between two of them is a capital that you have to put in, to pay in. For limited liability company, it's 20,000 Swiss francs. It should be paid in as capital, and for corporation it's 100,000 Swiss francs. It's a little bit the same as dollars, so it's easy to calculate. And that should, but only half could be paid at the beginning of the creation of the company. But just bear in mind, this money would be available for you for using it up. It's just blocked for a short period of time, for 14 days for creation of the company, and then they'll be on your account, and you can use it to pay salaries, to pay all the fees, real estate, office space, whatever. So this money are available. And then the second difference between the corporation and limited liability companies, it's in corporation it's anonymous. So a lot of VC funds prefer to invest in corporations, and especially this legal form is done for that. And for limited liability companies, it's more family business where you are not looking for investments. Though it's easy to transfer one to another one, but it takes time. So that's pretty that's two difference. And then in order to create a company, when you choose a legal form, you have to think about one more thing. There should be one Swiss representative of a company. We call it administrator. It's not compulsory. It should be a Swiss person. It could be a person from the company, founder or a CEO, but this person has to live in Switzerland, has a residence permit. So that's basically...
well, I know that we were discussing over lunch that there's an option to use some of the external services of different companies in your region that could help with that requirement, right?
Definitely. So if you do not have this kind of person, administrator, or you are not planning to leave Poland or to establish in Switzerland immediately, there are plenty of companies, starting from law firms, finishing by a fiduciary or accounting firms that are offering this service to the companies, and the price it rises quite a lot. That you can imagine. Lawyers pretty expensive because their risks are higher, because they don't see accounting of your company, and they are still legal representative of your company, so that they're taking quite a high risks. But accounting, it's around 3,000 Swiss francs per year as a service of being representative of the company. So yes, and we are also helping. Innovaud as an organization, we are helping you to identify the best legal form, the best partner to work with, so as an accounting firm or a lawyer. And just probably to mention, all our services are free of charge, and our main mission, our main mission is to create jobs, create companies, to create value in Switzerland, in our region.
Wonderful. Patrick, do you want to cover, like for which industries the opportunities are the biggest? You have mentioned that a bit in your introduction,
Yes,
but
that's true.
It would be great to elaborate more.
It's aimed, because of the legal framework we have, it's targeted at tech companies or tech-enabled companies, and our main focuses are on trust tech. So I mentioned cybersecurity and so on, of course. There is aerospace and robotics, which is really thriving in Western Switzerland. We have many very, very interesting companies in aerospace. Switzerland is founding member of ESA, where Poland is also member of ESA, so it facilitates a lot of programs in space tech. And then we have life sciences, a strong point for Switzerland, and especially our region for biotech and medtech. You saw the example of the exoskeleton twice. With the paralyzed lady, sportswoman that is using it to move again. She'll be actually in Impact C next month on the Swiss Pavilion, the TWICE project. And then there is nutrition and food tech, agri-tech. And finally, energy efficiency, smart grid, hydrogen as a focus.
Wonderful. Uliana, do you want to add something? As Uliana is an entrepreneur, so it would be great to maybe understand what your startup do, and but later on, if you could elaborate, because you already started to expand to Switzerland a bit, and you were part of some acceleration programs, and you were applying to the next ones. So it would be great to learn more about your insights as an entrepreneur.
So it's actually a pretty cool role to wear two hats, because you see two worlds, right? One, the world of the startupper, and the other one actually of somebody who is helping streamline the innovation. And from that standpoint, actually, I initially was helping startups to expand into Switzerland generally. And what I can actually testify to that, to what Yuliya and Patrick said is, in fact, what you've seen in that inspiring video is Switzerland is really literally chasing innovation. Yes, so they're focusing on certain markets, right? Innovaud is focusing on certain markets. Also, maybe to mention machine learning as well, right? Because we have EPFL. But also, in addition to different, taxation, etc., they also encourage certain type of activity. So for sure, I've been speaking to different founders, and I see oftentimes sort of two types of objections, yes, that the founder says. Well, they would say normally Switzerland is a small market, so we haven't even thought about it. That's the first objection. And second one is it's expensive. Yuliya already mentioned that you actually need to, kind of dig a little bit deeper and understand what is it expensive. And actually, Switzerland, when I said that they chase innovation is, for example, the type of activity that you can open in Switzerland. For example, if it's an R&D activity, you could get subsidized, right? Or you could get really much easier access to various partnerships with, be it academic organizations or maybe B2B companies, etc. That
you can also get some tax reductions, right, for R&D activities.
Exactly. So that's what I call by subsidies. So that's something that oftentimes founders don't realize. So that's about expensive. And when you think about it being a small market, well, in fact, it is true. The population is only approaching 9 million, I think, right? It is not a market for every solution, but as Patrick's presentation has shown, there are a number of headquarters, for example, right, businesses who could potentially get into partnerships. And actually those kind of routes of so not only you have decision makers that are sitting in the country and potentially you could access to them, but there are actually a number of already sort of well-developed routes or programs that you can come into a company, into the country and basically become part of the network and much easier get access to those decision makers or the contacts that you would need. So that's something that has been my experience as well. Now talking about the startup, I'm very early stage in the middle of pivot, so a lot going on. But what I have to say, developing activity in Switzerland has allowed me to very easily get to, for example, grant. Yeah, there are some grants that are, although Switzerland is not positioning themselves as their financing, however, there are a bunch of private also grants to which you can tap into, so that's one thing. And second, the speed of finding collaborations, because there were already a number of different mechanisms. You know, you get into a technopark and basically they literally implant you into a community where you all of a sudden feel like you're in a big village and you start knowing people and, you know, things work out. So there are a bunch of
You're
programs.
suggesting that their community is better than ours?
Well, you know, I think there is always...
what you're saying.
That's why I'm here, to help you grow. Anyway, but the speed basically of realization some of your projects, it's really something that Switzerland can be proud of, not only in innovation space, but also even in administration space, for example. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Are there any pitfalls that the startups can expect or try to avoid?
Basically, they are all the same around the world, the pitfalls. But I think that the most important, that what I see from the 14 years of experience working for the organization, I can see the biggest one. It's not usually, it does not touch so much Polish companies, but I would not mention which one, that they are trying to duplicate their model of working and saying, okay, we are coming to Switzerland, we're gonna use this model and gonna do exactly this, and it's gonna work because we are doing it in France, US, or wherever. So please, when you are coming to Switzerland, just investigate what we have to offer. Listen to your peers, you go to the different technoparks, ask Innovaud, ask us. We will guide you. We don't have any other mission than we want your business to grow and to innovate. And we see it quite often with Juliana, with Patrick, that the companies, they have something in mind, they are coming, and we are saying that, like recently we had an example of a Polish company coming to us and saying, okay, we want to go and open a sales office. Okay, have you considered to open an R&D center? Oh yeah, but we have an excellent one in Poland. But let's work together. Let's see if our famous MIT type university, APFL, that we are using quite a lot, this abbreviation, so keep it in mind, what could be done together. And they are investigating, and now they said, oh yeah, we can actually apply for InnoSwiss program. InnoSwiss is a they can cover half of the R&D expenses with the federal money. So they said, oh, that's a good idea, why not? So they were pretty open to listen to us and see what other activities could be developed. So except of the sales office, now they're thinking of opening R&D activities, and we say, okay, but probably it's worth also to consider R&D or a part of R&D and sales office headquarter in terms of taxation. And that's what probably one message that I want to pass as well. We are not here to say, okay, just leave Poland, leave whatever you're doing now and move to Switzerland. So. We are saying that could be some, for scaling, for some activities, Switzerland could be a good match. And we are offering this kind of platform, Switzerland, to grow, to see how to scale internationally from Switzerland.
Do you want to name some, let's say, more culture challenges, or because I know that we were discussing with Liana also that it's difficult or it's different if you are trying to approach clients in Switzerland. That was a very interesting concept. So, do you want to cover that?
So for sure. How should I say, we're all different, right? Maybe before naming challenges, I would definitely say that Switzerland is quite a diverse place, culturally, linguistically. People come from different backgrounds. And because of that, it actually is oftentimes for some companies an excellent testing ground for a solution, especially if you want to then launch somewhere in a European country. So that's just something to remember. And then cultural challenges, well, I think it really depends from which kind of position you look at or what do you expect. If you deal with Swiss authorities, it's very well known, there are normally no challenges there because it's, if you were told that your documents are going to be ready tomorrow, they will be ready tomorrow. So there is actually a lot sort of, for us startuppers, we operate in a sense of perpetual uncertainty. Knowing that certain things are actually not so uncertain, it helps. And I can actually compare to a couple of other sort of countries where I've tried my efforts, right? I'm not gonna name them. So, but then obviously, I think, as I said, it depends really where you come from. I'm sort of a nomad, so I can see both pluses and negatives. I would say Swiss mentality, right? It's more straightforward. So that's maybe for somebody, if you come from, let's say, more Southern culture or maybe an Asian country, could be really a challenge. But other than that, I haven't really faced that many challenges.
What I had in mind was that you mentioned that it's not so straightforward to reach out to clients promoting your service, that you need to have some kind of introduction before.
That was not in Switzerland, actually.
Okay. So I mixed the two types of conversations. Okay, wonderful. So Patrick, maybe if we decide to go there, like what type of support programs we can expect?
Yes. Maybe something Yuliya didn't mention is part of what we do is also help organize simply visits, because very often companies are interested, but they don't want directly to commit to set up, of course. And we help decide with them what is the most interesting place to visit, potential business partners.
I believe the lake was very interesting, and the surrounding of it, so like the landscape in general.
Yeah, of course. So there's that. If you are interested, the best is to come have a look, and we can support that. There are several support programs, accelerators. I'll just mention a few, and maybe we can provide you with the links so you can distribute
We'd be happy to
them.
share with you some presentations or like afterwards, after the event.
Okay, so for examples, one very important one in place is a fund for collaborations between Poland and Switzerland, and there is really money available for projects that combine companies here and in Switzerland, or labs in Switzerland, companies here, or the reverse. So this is a very interesting link, and as often it's a bit obscure and nobody knows about it, but it's a real resource. But otherwise, there are interesting programs running in our region. One is Mass Challenge. It's a competition that has its roots in Massachusetts, but that has several franchises in the world. One is in Lausanne, Switzerland. And you could very well register for the competition, and that would bring you to visit as part of the competition, and you can win up to 500,000 Swiss francs, so it's nice also. Second example is Tech for Trust. It's an acceleration program around trust technologies. It's been running for 4 years now. It's the 5th edition, and you get helped by corporations in the domain of trust cybersecurity. Third example is Tech for Eva. This is for Femtech, and it's really very successful now in 5th edition, I think, with really probably 90% of the participants that are not from Switzerland. So a good opportunity.
Is there any specific industry focus, or is it general?
It's general. There is, of course, medtech, but also a lot of software to support women. It's every time technology is there to help the health of women, especially. So it's a good focus. And my final example is more specialized in scale-ups. For 3 years now, together with IMD, which is a well-known business school in Lausanne, we have a program to support scale-ups called Leading to Scale-up, very specialized for companies that are just about to scale. So we define that by having the product market fit, having raised or about to raise a small Series A, and 8 permanent employees. So it's still just before the hockey stick. And this is a very critical moment, because some founders think the hard part is behind me, but actually it's going to be very hard with a lot of different challenges. Typically, if you go beyond 15-ish people in the company, it changes the game because you cannot be directly related to all the employees. You need to change some key people, but this is just the beginning of the story. And we have this very specific course that's running every year with IMD. So this is a fourth example, and we'll put the link in the mail to you.
Wonderful. Yuliya, do you want to add something to either the programs or the services that the startups can still expect?
Okay, I will probably add something that was not probably fully answered, is about cultural difference. Myself, I'm not Swiss born, so I was born in Ukraine. So and I moved there many years ago, and I remember something that struck me when I came to Switzerland. It's the most humbled culture I've ever seen, and it's probably quite reserved. So a lot of things you will not find it easy access to this information, and people will not sell it much. So that's why quite a lot of salespeople are coming from abroad. So what I just wanted to say is that probably if you're gonna look yourself for the information about different programs, you will not easily find them on the website. That's why we are here as well, and just do not hesitate to contact us or you, and you put us in contact with, so that we will give you all this information, because it's true that Switzerland is humble, they're reserved, and they're not gonna, you will not see like in Holland, you're coming, all the programs are oversold. So we are still quite humble. This is the first thing that I would was my shock, my experience of Swiss culture, even though I've been living 20 years there and I feel quite Swiss. So, and then probably also about different programs. Every single project is so different, they have different needs. So what I would advise you is to really understand if there is a match between your company, come to us, say what are your needs, and we will see which program will the best correspond to your needs. And it's quite personalized. There is nothing that there is no recipe that we give to every single domain.
But in order to receive your service, does the company have to have the headquarter? Like, obviously, you mentioned that there are some study visits first to understand, what they require, and give them some time to think it over. But is there any prerequisite initially for receiving your advice or support, or is it like a free service? Regardless of whether we decide to, open an entity in Switzerland.
So the best, I think that this majority of the time is spent with the companies who are still evaluating Switzerland. So we don't want to, Switzerland, as Juliana mentioned, is not for everyone. And there are some industries that are not high tech, and we know that probably Switzerland won't be the best place for you. We will frankly and directly answer you. I would say that this is 90% of our job is consulting companies who are investigating if Switzerland is a good choice for them. So the requisite would be to have an idea, to have a company already, preferably registered in Poland or somewhere else, and the idea of scaling and thinking if Switzerland is a good match for them. So, and I would say the other prerequisite would be that it does not create a local competition in Switzerland. So meaning that, let's say, if that's a company, it's a shop or something that could create a local competition, we will probably say no from very beginning.
Wonderful. Do you want to add anything to that?
Maybe very briefly, but we see that ecosystems where you have a lot of diversity that equals innovation. Most of the time in California, you have a lot of immigrants. It's also the case in our region. And Canton de Vaud is the part of Switzerland with the most non-Swiss permanent residents. We have over a third of the population of Vaud that are non-Swiss permanent resident. And this is also to tell you, foreigners are welcome and well integrated also companies that set up in our region, they become Swiss companies. We don't make difference. We hear that some European countries make difference. You're a Russian company established in Germany. Well, you're not a German company. If you are a Polish company in Switzerland, you're a Swiss company, and we promote you and we help you and showcase you in different events, absolutely like a homegrown company, because there is no such thing actually. If we look at the founders' statistics, 80% of all the startups created in our region are from immigrants, mostly because they came to study in universities and then they created something. So there is really something to say about diversity, integration, and this is something we are quite proud of.
Can you name some maybe success stories, or give us some examples of companies that successfully completed this entity establishment path and also achieved some nice results?
Okay, so before Switzerland used to be a hub for headquarters, right, for international headquarters. So there is actually a lot of successful stories from like large companies that come and settle in Switzerland, and oftentimes they find reasons, different reasons, right? It depends really on industry. But there are actually a lot of also smaller companies. For example, primarily in fintech, we are launching now this from Poland, actually. For example, now that I'm starting this activity, in Poland and Krakow, reaching out to different founders and trying to sort of spread the word, I started discovering that there are actually some fintech, particularly, for example, in crypto companies, founders that are already going from the start to Switzerland because the legislation there is very friendly. So we actually started to discover that there is actually some, Polish community already in Switzerland, and hopefully, at some point we'll actually bring them here, and they'll be able to speak for themselves, I would say, yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, I think I covered a lot. So but if you don't want to add anything, then I believe we can give the floor to the audience. Yes? Okay.
I think, one thing, like if I would ask you, like to close your eyes and think, if you say the word Switzerland, like what's the thing that comes to your mind, right?
Mountains and beautiful landscapes.
Yeah, but like in the business sense. And for many people, one of the, first words that come is actually high quality. And that is something that, we are startups here. We're all in different sort of stages, right, of our startups. But if at some point you find yourself in the stage where you realize that I want to be associated with a name, right, that says for the quality that I deliver, that could be just in itself, actually, regardless of the industry that you come from, something that to consider. Yeah.
Wonderful summary.